Hello.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Ben.
And this is
Penny in the Landline. Live. In person. Penny in the Land live.
We also did not rehearse that at all.
We didn't at all. We didn't. We're here in person having a conversation.
We're having a sleepover.
We are having we're having a slumber party and we're celebrating the 10th episode, the season finale.
Yes.
In person, no online recording.
No.
Old people style.
No delays.
Hey people.
No internet delays.
No internet
nothing.
delays.
We're recording straight into
in person on the same microphone, the same audio suite. We are doing it. We are in person. I am touching Zoe now.
Yes.
And we are touching skin.
Yes.
Zoe and Ben.
Wait, listen to this.
We are our pasty skin is in physical contact with one another. I just grazed their knee ever so slightly.
We were just talking because we have not seen each other since I'm properly recording the podcast. So I'm looking at him right now. Like, this is so. I'm usually used to speaking slowly so that the delay and the internet delay and waiting for the connection to work.
Exactly, and I think we can't see each other. We do it without visuals.
Yeah,
we do it just over like blank screens. And I'm usually just semi-naked, lying around in my bed. Obviously now we're butt naked together, and we have been doing things for hours. Sexual favors.
Yeah, we've been making up for lost time.
Yeah, we have been. I've friction burns in places you didn't realize you could get.
You know when
burns.
long distance couples get together after weeks of being apart. This is
feral.
Yeah, exactly.
Feral in Cardiff.
We should also
We should
also mention we are a couple of drinks.
We have had some drinks to celebrate the finale. We've been watching Trust, the Game of Greed on Netflix.
On Netflix. Horrible.
These people are all awful.
Horrible people.
Maniacs. Don't care what happens to any of them.
And
there's a woman on there called Lindsay who we believe that the producers are feeding her alcohol at all times of day.
Lindsay, if you want a spot on our podcast, you're welcome as a guest star.
Oh, I'd love to have you, Lindsay.
So, Lindsay, please tell us about your experience. We're only 3 episodes in, so don't tell us what happened.
Exactly, you're so right. She's not going to make it to the end.
I
understand, Lindsay.
This is such a physical connection. This is very bizarre.
It's bizarre to be talking to Zoe over the microphone, actually having a focal point.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Well, here we are.
Yes.
Episode 10. The finale of Series 1.
Yes, and we will be back in a number of weeks.
No, weeks, months.
Sorry,
not to cut you, but we are going to be around. I think it's going to be a few months.
Yeah, probably will be. We don't want to make any promises.
No, we don't.
But probably April time.
Yes,
will be when we're coming back.
Spring.
We both have ulterior commitments that we need
to. It's all come at a very, very poignant, transcendental, transitional period of our lives.
Yes.
Where things are happening.
We're very busy and we want to take time to make our comeback especially good. We're not just going to come back in a normal way. We're making loads of decisions and thoughts. So please stick with us.
Like we said, like we hinted last week, with the corporate grind.
The corporate grind is going to begin.
The mass industry.
Yes.
We're the Amazon of podcasts. You just don't know it yet.
Yes. So we'll be coming back tenfold. So many apologies to our rabid fans, but we need to take just a little bit of break to regroup and do some stuff behind the scenes. And then so that when we come back, we can come back in full force.
Exactly.
Full force.
And all good things, you have to have a break. You have to come back. You wouldn't enjoy Christmas if Christmas was every day.
Yes, so true.
And this is like Christmas. So.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
So who went first?
Who did go first last
week? What did we talk about last week?
It was
fast fashion
and friendship.
Yes.
So I went first last week.
Oh my gosh.
This week you are going first.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have to say, because this is a very special episode.
It is.
I've had this idea since we started, actually.
Oh, really? You did not tell me that.
It's a little bit strange.
Okay.
So it's going to deviate from our normal type of content.
Okay.
But I think it's a very cute idea.
Okay, I'm happy to play this.
So I'll give you the quick backstory of this.
Please.
I was working at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Yes.
In 2023.
Lovely.
And in our venue was a wonderful woman, Gillian Cosgriff. She's a fantastic comedian. Go check her out. She's Australian. And she had...
Down Under.
She's from Down Under. And she's fabulous. She's a comedian, musician, and her whole show is called Actually Good. And her whole show is coming up with 10 things that are actually good. And it's not 10 favorite things, it's just a list from 10 to 1 of things that are good to very, very good. And she takes suggestions from the audience.
Really fun idea.
And actually on my wall is a thing from my show which actually has my list of 10 favorite things, which I haven't read in a while. So
that's such a good idea.
Yes.
That's such a clever idea.
Yes. So from the show, for example, there are some really iconic ones. There was someone who said toddlers with an accent, which is a pretty good thing.
Oh, that's quite funny.
Someone said picking your belly button, which was rogue.
I wouldn't say that's good.
No, but a lot of people had like very, very fun ones. She has one that I think is very relevant, which I think it's her number 5 or something, where she rubs on sunscreen during winter so she can smell it and remind herself of summer.
Oh my goodness, that is bonkers. I mean, I kind of appreciate that's kind of cool, but like that's an overthinker behavior. That's like an overthinker's that's like overthinking psychotic behavior.
Gillian Cosgriff, I adore you. I didn't talk to you a lot because I was very busy, but you were fantastic. If you live in Australia, go see her shows. It's very good. It's actually good. And so I thought, is rather than do 10 each, because that's
a lot.
Crazy.
That's a lot, yeah.
I was thinking to do our 5 things that are actually good.
Okay.
Yes.
5 things are actually good. So what would this title be of this subject?
Yes.
How do you
I would just say actually good.
Actually good.
Actually good.
Your topic is actually good. 5 things are actually good. Okay.
And again, I haven't actually read the ones that I've done recently to prepare for this because otherwise it'd be
deliberately.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can each go both of our 5s, both of our 4s, and again, don't overthink it. It can be very simple.
Okay.
It can be very specific.
Okay.
So I think with my number 5,
please,
I'll actually take it back to what we said last week.
Okay.
Which was the moment that an acquaintance becomes a friend.
Oh, that's so powerful.
And again, it's a very simple little moment. So that would be my number 5 out of my 5 things.
I mean, okay, my number 5. Again, this is no order really. I
yeah,
can't do
don't
order.
worry.
I hate
it's fine.
order.
Don't worry about it.
I'd say that one of my top 5 things is when you have a haircut.
Okay.
And you leave the barber, hairdressers, whatever it is. That feeling is just so slay.
Yes,
like the
yes,
feeling
yes.
when you leave the barbers and you're like, because I have a shaved head, and when it's all like nice and crisp and smooth, and I like just like kind of it's sunny. My idea is like it's a sunny kind of like morning time in the wintry, and you kind of like step outside and it's like buzzed and it's like you feel so smooth and cute.
Yes.
That feeling when you first had a haircut is a great 5.
Yes.
That's my number 5. That's my number 5. Okay, great. Okay, what's your number 4?
Number 4. Let me think. Actually, I'll say something that I was talking to you about today when we were going shopping.
Okay.
Is the other day I was just hanging out in bed and the streaking of soft February light was coming through.
Yes.
Some birds were singing outside. I didn't have much going on and I was like, this is the perfect time for a nap. And I was tuckered out. And it wasn't a normal stress nap. It wasn't a normal I need to sleep before this. It was just when I don't know how I would title this, but just when the environment invites you to relax and take a nap.
I love that.
I didn't even put a timer on. I just fell asleep like the princess in the stories.
Very natural.
Yeah.
But also these days to fall asleep in a natural way in our scheduled society.
Oh please.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes,
that's
please.
pretty lucky.
Please.
Okay. Number 4.
4.
Number 4 is making it through your room in the dark, just to but like getting to the lamps and not hitting anything.
Ooh.
You know. Because there's nothing I hate more than an overhead light.
Yes.
An overhead light is akin to is a crime.
Yes.
An overhead light.
Yes.
And actually, I'm of the belief that every overhead light in every building should be torn out as government mandate.
Yes.
So
Side lights only.
Exactly. Side lights, underlighting, lamps. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to see an overhead light ever again.
No.
So I love that feeling when you come back like late at night and your house is dark or whatever, and you manage to like know the movements of your house well enough that you can just kind of walk through in the dark and find the lamp without knocking into anything. That's a great thing. That's actually really good. You feel really accomplished.
Yes.
Because I was so smooth. I kind of snuck through the dark.
That's so good. You feel like a nocturnal little animal.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Definitely.
I think I know what my number 3 is.
Okay, what's your number 3, baby?
My number.
Ooh. Sorry, I call her baby because we've been having intercourse.
Yeah, all day, all day. So my number 3. My number 3 is when you've cleaned your room, you've done a vacuum,
Yes.
you've changed your sheets,
Of course.
You've dusted, you've done it all, and then you put a candle on, as if
Wowee.
no one has stepped their foot in here.
It's so true.
It feels like no one's lived inside. To be honest, my cleaning skills could definitely be improved, but when I'm fully doing it, I feel like I've spent like a good, like maybe 2 hours properly doing it. And then you put a candle on and you can sit back and think, I've done an adult thing.
That's so
and
true.
just let the scent waft through. I have a nice little Texas cedarwood little candle going on. It's non-toxic. It's not like those Yankee candles.
Are Yankee candles toxic?
Yeah.
Are they actually?
Yeah, they actually are.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
I know.
What's in them?
I don't know. It's like chemicals.
Is that a rumor or is that true?
I think it's actually true.
Oh dear.
It's actually true.
What, like, breathing it in is really bad?
Yes, yeah.
How are they allowed to do that then?
I don't know. Well, also I have beeswax candles as well, which are this is a non-toxic candle.
How do you know it is?
I bought it at a well, honestly, I don't know. They could be lying to me.
It does smell good.
And then I've got some beeswax ones that just smell like.
So I have a Yankee candle called Autumn Sunrise, but now I feel like the Autumn Sunrise is killing me.
Yeah, well, a lot of things are killing us.
Well, that's true. I think everything's carcinogenic, isn't it? Especially that wine we just guzzled. So I mean, who am I to be like?
Exactly. Yes,
like,
we're not
Autumn
living the
Sunrise
healthiest
candle
life.
might kill me.
Exactly.
I think probably all the wine I'm
Yes.
drinking is probably gonna get me before the candle does.
That's good. What's your number 3, Ben?
Number 3.
hard to think.
It's actually really hard to think on the spot. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. This is a little bit more. It sounds like I'm being very ridiculous and overdramatic, and everyone has the right to roll their eyes at me from across the thing. There is no. There's lots of better feelings than this. I'm not gonna say there's no better feeling, but this is a very good feeling. Is like long-term retribution.
Oh.
Okay, so like when something really bad happened to you, like say like 5 years ago, and then at the time no one's really on your side, or people like not people aren't on your side, but like that it's gonna come back and get them and bite them in the ass.
Right.
But you know that like time will do its job. There's nothing better than like living your life, moving on from whatever's happened, and then you hear from someone, a friend of a friend of a friend, that something came back and bit that person in the ass.
That's good.
That feeling, if I could bottle it and drink it every morning, I think I would be able to solve world hunger, solve world peace. I think that feeling is so great.
I think it's especially true when it's someone that like everyone likes, and you're like,
100%.
I have a feeling about this person,
Yes.
but like obviously everyone else isn't, and then something happens and you can turn around and go, I knew.
Yeah. And that is my 3.
I like a spiteful one. I like
spiteful. It is spiteful.
I think it's good.
It is, but
it's fun.
It's real.
It feels good.
It feels good.
good.
It's real, and like I'm not perfect. And I'm not
Exactly.
particularly
Yes,
pleasant,
I remember in her shows, Gillian did say someone. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It was when someone is arguing with you, but they stumble over their words.
Oh, that is
which I just
brilliant.
did right now.
You know what? Although on the other end of it, I remember I had an argument with some friends of mine when I was like 17 years old, and I did stumble over my words. And to this day, that was 7 years ago. And every now and then, in my lowest moments, I think about how I could have absolutely burned them and really won that argument, and I didn't because I stumbled on my words. And it happens. It does happen to all of us.
Yeah, but it does feel good when you're on the other side.
It does.
It does. That's so good.
That's so good.
I love it.
That's so petty. Right, what's your next one? Is number 3 for you now?
I think we've just both done our 3s.
Okay, so you're number 2.
So my number 2, I just thought about this now, and it's very specific to me personally, which is we're getting to specific zone.
Of course.
Number 2 is when I'm flying home. I know I have to fly. I have to fly. Sorry, everyone. When I'm flying home, and there's a moment when you're flying into Switzerland, and I know this is cheesy, and I know it's silly, and it's not something I usually pay a lot of attention to, but the moment we pass over all the mountains, all the Alps, and I look over, and I'm like, I'm about 20 minutes from touching down, and I just look, and it's the mountains, and it's not so much the mountains themselves, it's just going, I am about to roll in. It's honestly, now that I'm living in Wales, it's the same thing when I have to cross over that big ass bridge.
Oh, that bridge.
I've
had some crazy times on that bridge.
So when I'm exiting England and I'm going over that bridge, I'm like, I'm coming home.
Yes.
So when I look outside my little EasyJet window, obviously I'm always on an aisle seat because I don't want to have to
pay extra.
I don't want to have to squish through people to like kick people out of the toilet. I want my leg room, okay? But I will sneak a look over the people next to me and be like, those are the mountains. And everyone's taking pictures, but I just know in my brain, I'm like, we're going to be touching down and I'm coming home.
I love that.
Very wistful, very nostalgic.
That's so chic.
Very pretty. Do you have your number 2?
My number 2.
Oh.
When you're crossing the road and a car just misses you. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Maybe
That's
I'm
perfect.
a psychopath, but I love it. I love it when I'm crossing the road because I'm such a jaywalker. I'm a jaywalker through and through. I don't want to wait for that thing. I don't want to wait for the crossing. And nothing makes me more angry than waiting for a crossing. And I love when you skip across the road and you manage to like just miss the car and other people waiting for you. Like, you know when you're at a crossing and you cross before you should.
Yeah,
and there's loads of other dweebs.
who
waiting
follow
on
you.
the-
Yeah,
Although wait, they don't follow you because they're good civilians and they wait for the green man. And I go before them and I've got way ahead of them. That feeling, I'm like, you should have thought like me. You should have thought ahead of the game.
It's New Yorker vibes.
Well, you know what I'm like. I would love to. I'm an honorary, imaginary New Yorker.
Yeah, exactly.
For someone who's never been to New York, I have New York vibes. I'm in a New York state of mind.
You're in New
York state of mind. I'm in a
Perfect.
New York
Whoa.
state of mind.
Whoa.
Yeah. Is that Billy Joel? It's Billy Joel.
Probably.
Okay. Well, that would be okay. Piano Man.
Quick, number 1. My number 1 right now is when you're laughing and it gets to the point in the laughing where it hurts.
Oh my goodness. Okay, when I was 19, I had a point when I was laughing so much with my friend Kate. Hi Kate. Where I was laughing so much where I honestly was going to throw up. And I was begging her to stop. Like, she just kept looking at me and there was something about her face that just made me laugh because she had that look in her eyes. And I kept saying, Kate, you've got to look away because I will vomit. In front, it was like a group of people and they were all looking at us like we were freaks. And I was like, I'm going to vomit on this table in front of a group of people. I completely understand.
I think my favorite, it's also like if you've had like a cough and like you're still recovering from the cough, but like something makes you laugh and your ribs are hurting and you're like, I can't laugh right now, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
And it's just, Mamma Mia.
Well,
Mamma Mia is a perfect.
Well, for my number 1.
Yeah?
Okay.
Come close to the mic, baby. Oh no, not that close, not that close.
Sorry, I had to do some ASMR. My number 1 is not obviously my number 1 experience in the world, but you said that wasn't a thing.
Number 1 thing actually
is when an opportunity for a good pun. Yeah. There is nothing that scratches my brain when I'm like, I come up with a good pun and someone says something and I'm like, I come up with a witty rhetoric and everyone just kind of like semi-smirks. It's not even like a laugh. They're like, yes. I just love that feeling.
That's good.
I've come up with a really quick cutting one, you know? I know. It's such a good feeling.
That's perfect.
That's how I feel.
Oh, well, thank you for doing 5 things that are actually good with me.
I'm sorry it took me so long.
No, it's fine. I think we got it. We got back down to the essence of the wire of serotonin.
We did.
I love that. I'm so glad that we're
in person.
In person.
Oh.
Ben is very excited because he's not seen a mic before.
You know, I have been recording from my MacBook microphone. Also, shout out to Val, who's a very, very avid listener.
Yay!
Valentine Tusa, you have been doing bits since day 1.
I love it.
Okay, consistent fan. She has had some problems with our sound quality, and I completely concur. It's not on your end, it's on my end. My microphone, my crusty-ass microphone, has made the audio levels so jarring.
You know, we're trying our best. It's okay.
We are, but for series 2 in a few months' time, best believe I will have my own microphone.
Oh, yes.
Okay? I promise you guys, you can hold me accountable.
Oh, yes.
So don't worry, Val. I know you're probably having a headache right now from all these wild noises, but
That's true.
I will have a microphone.
So what is your topic?
Okay.
Last topic of series 1.
Oh, it's crazy.
Season
1. Okay. Well, actually, how poetic is this? How emotional is this? Oh my goodness! What if we cried on the pod? What if we just like had a half an hour of us sobbing? So my series 1 ending, which is so cliche, it's like, oh Ben, please, is endings and new beginnings.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's so wet. It's so wet. But it's so true, they're like endings, new beginnings, because so many people I know are entering new phases of their lives, or like, you know, moving abroad. Like, a lot of my closest friends, you guys have all hopped across various oceans.
Yeah.
We have got someone who's moved to India, we've got someone who's moved to Brazil, to going to Australia. He's in Canada right now. Like, all these friends of mine are just scattering across the globe. And everyone is just entering these new phases of their lives. And I think with every ending comes a new beginning. Well, not all the time. If you die, that's kind of the end.
Yes. Well,
well, maybe depending who you're asking, but
yes,
at least in the physical form. So, like, I guess think it's really interesting. I think the topic of endings and new beginnings and that kind of bittersweet feeling of one period of your life ending and a new one starting. It's such a strange feeling. I think it's such an exciting feeling as well. Like, I think back to when I started university.
Yes.
And how nervous I was and how anxiety-inducing those first few months in Bristol were.
Yeah.
But how exciting they were. Yes. It was the end of my time at home. It was the end of my time as, like, a teenager and a child. But it was my first time being away from home. And it's simultaneous, like, missing my childhood and my teenage years, being so excited for what I had in front of me. And the same kind of happened when I got to the end of university. It was also poetic, and it's this mixture of sadness but excitement. And I just think I want to hear how you feel about that. And as we close series 1, you know,
I think for and this is a thing I've said on previous episodes, but I'm quite. Call it only child energy, call it artist energy, whatever you're going to call it. I'm a very nostalgic, very sentimental person, and often to my detriment. I was quite the little, when I was a teenager, I have loads of things in my notes app that sometimes I read and I'm like, what is going on? But also, like, again, with those types of things, like, when I was in, like, high school and doing, like, amateur theater and stuff like that, like, when we did those shows and when they were finishing, it felt like a huge deal, which honestly they kind of were, like, at the time.
Yeah, it's all relative. It's
so relative, and, like, I remember staking on, like, the final night, and I would always cry on stage on the last show. Like, I was kind of known for it. All the recordings of the final shows had me, like, crying in the front, like, sobbing, whatever. And it just was, like, I think I just always have been very, like, aware of, like, fleeting feeling and being like, it will never be like this again, and oh my gosh, I'll never feel this, and, like, I'm taking this moment for granted, and, like, I think for me a lot of time, like, again, as maybe an only child and hanging out a lot of times with, my, like, parents' friends and things like that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, the youth is wasted on the young, like, you guys don't know what you have until you've lost it. So for me, I spend, like, a lot of time going, like, I need to spend all this time, like, thinking about how these moments are fleeting, which, again, not always very necessary. No. You don't want it all the time. No. But I have a big, with endings and beginnings, like, if there's a chapter of life, if I'm finishing a project, even if it's something small, I feel quite a lot about it. But starting something is also really exciting, but also kind of scary. And I mean, when you were saying about university as well, like, we had a weird kind of ending because our graduation was in November, which is like months after. But also,
very nice.
It was really lovely because, like, we all came back together. We had a couple months apart.
To
and
reconnect.
Everyone reconnected, and it was kind of this moment of, like, we probably won't see all of each other ever again. Like, that's not going to happen, but, like, we're all supporting each other. Like, I was getting my cloak all messed up, and then someone in my degree was helping me, and we're all supporting, clapping when people are going on stage, and, like, accepting, like, this is this one moment for all of us. Stupid science speech taking place at the fucking arts graduation, whatever, University of Bristol,
boring.
whatever. But we still all took it in stride, and it was a wonderful. That ended up being really fun and very sweet and very bittersweet, obviously. Because there's moments where you're like, is this the last time we're all hanging out together? We don't know. And then sometimes you just are in the moment, and it's that thing of, like, oh, the good times are happening now, or, like, you don't know what the good times are until you're remembering them, that sort of thing.
Well, that's the kind of thing as well I think I looked back on, because when I was a teenager I was a super anxious boy, but I wasn't always. I think, like, I look back on times, for example, when I was 16, I loved being 16. I hated being 17. So it's like, I think I had a really bad year when I was 17, but a really good year when I was 16. And I can remember when things went a bit sour when I was 17. I just remember the whole time being like, oh, why didn't I appreciate that more when I was 16?
Right.
So I try not, and I had loads of time kind of berating myself for that. And I'm like, I don't think there's very much point. You're right in the sense that, like, youth is wasted on the young and all things like that. But, like, I think I was a good balance at university. I was a really good balance of knowing it was going to come to an end, it would never be the same, but appreciating it. And I'm really pleased that I had that balance. I think, I mean, it's a really hard line to toe because I definitely, like, even when I left Bristol this year, because I stayed for a while afterwards, I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm going to come back. And then I decided not to. And I think that, to me, was like a very sudden ending. It was a very like, oh, you're actually never going to live there again. And I thought I was going to, but you probably aren't. I mean, maybe I probably could end up being back there again, but not in any time soon. And I think that's really bizarre. But I think also, like, in terms of sentimentality, I've tried to learn to not be as sentimental about things, because you're not going to, not say there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think it's important to value things. It's important to be nostalgic about certain things. But you can't spend too much time dwelling on what's happened in the past. Even if the positive things, like, that's one of the reasons I journal as well, is that I think it's one of the things that I can be like, oh, this is a really positive experience I've had, and I have that record of it.
Yes.
I do have to keep mulling it over, because there is also those people that you meet sometimes where they're like in their 30s, 40s, and all they do is talk about that period of time when they were a teenager. And I think, oh my goodness, like, you have to let go.
Yeah,
and just because you can sometimes hinder yourself from enjoying your new beginnings by dwelling too much on what's just ended.
I definitely agree.
And that can be really hard as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really hard line to toe, that kind of nostalgia, excitement line. And I'm kind of in that period of my life right now where I'm like, I'm going to be moving back out of my family home, and realistically that's probably going to be the last time I've ever lived there. And I'm trying to appreciate being at home with my family and spending time with them, and how lucky I am to have that, but also be excited for my new period. And it's such a weird feeling. It's like, where do my feelings lie? And I think it's really important to strike that balance between endings and new beginnings. And yeah, I just think it was a really fun topic to bring into the end of Series 1, because we are entering an ending, but best believe in a few months' time there'll be a new beginning.
A new beginning, yes.
And if you are an avid fan of this podcast, and in years to come you're listening to back episodes because we're so famous,
yes,
and you come back to want to see where we started, you'll probably listen to this chronologically, or just go straight from end of Series 1 to Series 2.
Yes.
And remember, guys, we don't know what's going to happen in Series 2 yet. So when you listen to Series 2, just know that we didn't know that was going to happen.
I know. Well, I'd love to remember that when we first conceived this idea together.
Yes, we did conceive.
Mid-intercourse.
when I was ploughing down, I was mid-entry exit into skin-on-skin contact.
You know what? Now, we were walking through Butte Park. I remember this very clearly.
We just filmed a TikTok. That was Fault in Our Stars themed TikTok.
Filmed the Fault in Our
Stars themed TikTok, where Zoe was a very convincing Hazel Grace Lancaster, and I'd like to think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was good, and we were walking. We were walking back through, and we were talking, and you suggested it. Like, we should do a podcast.
Well, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for so many years, and it's one of those things. I think you have to have someone who can do the technical side, and I'm obviously a bit technically unskilled. So I think, like, I was like, I just need to do it with someone who I know can actually handle the technical elements.
Yeah.
And we've got a good balance going in here, haven't we?
It was such a sweet little beginning, because it was at the time it was because again it was in October, wasn't it? It was
October. We discussed it.
Yes.
We did record an unseen initial pilot episode. I was not pleased with. I think the vibes weren't it. Maybe the vibes weren't. Maybe I was being too critical, but I wasn't feeling it.
I think you were very, very self-conscious. The secret pilot episode has a kind of youthful energy, a very excited new energy I do treasure in the back of my mind, but it's only for us.
It's like when any pilot, like a sitcom, a TV show, the tone was different.
Yes.
The tone was very different. It was the vibes weren't here.
Yes.
So
though it did we did miss out on, because that was when we revealed your love for tuna corn.
Oh, in that first episode? Yes. That can't be right though, because actually I think I've talked about tuna again.
Well, you did. I
definitely talked about tuna again, because I had someone message me recently telling me a tuna recipe. Like a tuna food related. No, I didn't tell you this. I had someone I know message me saying about a tuna, like, bread, gluten-free, like, European food recipe with tuna, and I was like, oh my goodness, it all pays off.
It does. Well, I'd love to give this moment to give a couple little shout outs to people who've been listening to the pod. Love to give shout outs to my parents, especially to Deb, my mom, who always
we love Deb.
Provides commentary when she's listening to it live.
She has
She's
she
been
has a lot of analysis.
I'd love to shout out Katie, who's our #1 fan in Switzerland.
Katie. Hi, Katie.
Texas Katie.
Hey,
She's
texting Katie.
absolutely slaying. She's
Love
loving
her.
it. She loves it.
No, we've always shouted out Val, who is an absolute supporter through and through. Also, Gemma in Canada. Who's very excited. Ruth, who's about to hop across the ocean herself.
Yes.
She told me today that she's listened to every single episode.
Love it.
Bestie Phoebe, who was missing some weekly releases and recently binged it.
Oh, she.
Like, can you imagine having our voices in your head for like hours and hours? So I think you are a saint.
Oh, and thank you very much to our little friend Will as well, and Tom, who was I think probably one of the first people that we actually revealed about the podcast
We
too.
did.
So shout out to Tom.
Well, Tom's very influential because Tom had a podcast long before we ever did.
Yes, Tom and Jasper had their podcast and they influenced us. So thank you for becoming the podcast pioneer.
Of course.
For us.
For inventing the podcast. Tom.
For inventing the podcast. It did not exist before Music Is Our Life.
It didn't. No, exactly.
Oh, well, now we're going to go have some intercourse.
We are going to have intercourse. We're going to have a 3.5-minute missionary in which I think about different things. Zoe thinks about laundry.
Yeah, we're going to have the lights off.
Lights off and socks on.
Lights
off,
socks on. Lights off.
Oh my goodness. If you know, you know.
You know.
Oh my goodness. If you know, you know.
It's going to be in complete silence.
Of course.
We're not going to have any music on.
And the thing is, Zoe doesn't even have a bed frame, so it's going to be, there's not even a headboard creaking.
No.
It's literally, when we say silence, you wouldn't even know there was anything going on in this room.
Yes, my roommates won't even congratulate us. They will have no idea what's going on.
They're fast asleep because they will not be woken up.
No, they won't be woken up at all. We'll be quiet as mice.
Oh, yeah. Whisper, whisper, whisper. Oh my goodness me. And to think this is where we're ending the series. We hope you all come back for a series 2.
We hope you all.
Or we're gonna have like a bit of a cancellation vibe where we release a second series, and the network's like, guys, the ratings have dropped, the viewership's dropped. Sorry, guys, I have to let you go.
Yeah, Spotify and Apple Podcasts are gonna contact us and say,
sorry, guys, you have to stop this right now.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
But please stop that from happening.
Yes,
and be patient, guys. It's only a few months. We'll be back for
yes,
more, and we're gonna
back.
shake it up a little bit. We're gonna have a different vibe.
Yes.
Not different vibe.
No, I don't.
I take that back.
Yes.
The vibes will remain immaculate, but the
structure
improved. Exactly.
Improved.
Okay then, guys.
Well, when we will be back, it will be on Fridays again, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And you'll be able to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and perhaps
YouTube. We're going to have social media pages. We're going to do the whole thing. We're going to do the whole run.
The whole shebang.
So you guys just stay tuned, okay?
Well, let's get into bed.
It's time to hang up the landline. Just for a little while.
Just for a little bit.
But we'll call you back.
Yes, we have to collect our pennies.
We do.
We have to collect.
We have to make some coins before we can make a call. Okay.
Exactly.
We'll call you back.
We'll call you back.
Okay. Goodbye.
Imagine this hasn't recorded.
Oh, don't. Okay.
I would actually jump off the landline.
Okay.